Looks clean, huh?
Yeah. It says we're live.
Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Unstoppable Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Crane, and I got my man, Dr. J, in the house. I'm excited, man. I got some good questions for you, Dr. J. Real quick, though, we love the technology stuff. I have to make an adjustment real quick on the tech stuff. So I want you to share with the viewers, give them a quick little, 1 minute story about how you became a doctor. Like what are your credentials and backgrounds? Just real quick. I just want to hear it from you.
Yeah. So it just kind of happened like it was supposed to happen. And just kind of, I was directed down the path that I needed to take to be able to reach this point. Cause I've always been interested in health. I've always been interested in helping people to improve their health. And actually out of high school, I got a job at Walgreens pharmacy, working in the pharmacy, dispensing medications. And I quickly realized that I did not feel like I was helping anyone, basically. We were just covering up their symptoms with those pills. And of course, there's a time and place for that. And so I was, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then when I found out about naturopathic medicine, a practice of medicine that addresses the root cause and helps people to build health and to not need medications, get off medications, I was like, that's what I need to do. And so kind of changed my whole trajectory of where I was going to do, where I was going to go, and the type of doctor that I was going to be, and went and learned, put a lot of extra work into to be able to make that happen. And here we are now, almost 20 years later, making magic happen, helping people feel their best, and unlocking people's true potential, reversing disease, getting off medications, all the fun stuff.
I love it, dude. That's perfect. I just wanted the viewers and everyone because they hear me talk about you all the time, and people are like, who's Dr. J? Like, what is his background? I think it's really cool how you got to this point. And I love it because you're like me, man. You're not following the traditional path of what people told you have to do. Like, you realize, no, this isn't the right way. There's a better way. And look where it's brought you. I have a lot of questions that I want to ask you today, but also I just want to point that out. Like, for anyone listening, you don't always have to go the traditional route. If you find something that's not working properly, or if you know a better way to do it, you got to follow your heart, man. And it leads to something bigger and better. That's how we became partners. That's how we're here building this company at Unstoppable 365. And we have so many people who are predominantly business owners, entrepreneurs, parents, just adults who have a lot of pressure and stress on them to perform at a high level. And one of the common themes is if you don't have your health, it's really hard to consistently perform at a high level. One of the things I've noticed since I personally optimized my health and taking the right supplements, optimizing my hormones, taking the right peptides, is something you told me and I didn't really think it would happen, but it has. I handle stress differently. You think of stress as being predominantly psychological, right? And dude, you know what I've been through. I've been through a lot of stuff. So I handle things pretty well. But raising children, growing a business, there's stress involved. And I've just noticed the healthier I've gotten, the easier it is to deal with stress and pressure-filled situations, right? So why is that? Talk to the people out there who are under a lot of stress right now, whether it's in a business or whether it's in their marriage. Like, how does health correlate to stress and the ability to handle stress?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And the thing is, it's all connected. There's no way you can separate, your health, whether it's just your digestive health, your joint health, your muscle health, your brain health, and your fitness, and all those things. They're all connected. You are one whole entire being. All of you is together, and so every part affects the other part. And so whether it's a stress, like an argument with your spouse, like hopefully none of us ever argue with our wives, right? But sometimes that happens. Or whether it's a deadline at work or an employee that's doing something, you have to respond in a certain way, and it's just part of life, all these stresses. And so when you are stronger, when you are unstoppable, when you have that resilience to be able to get through, and it's not just on the surface. Sometimes there's a difference between fitness and health. Of course, fitness is part of health, but we need to make sure that it's all connected so that you can withstand that and truly become unstoppable. And so we can, if you want the science lesson on, we can dive into the cortisol response and all that. But it's just knowing that you're stronger, knowing your mindset is where it needs to be is a big driver and helpful for that.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Okay, you ready for some other rapid fire questions, Dr. J? I'm gonna ask you some stuff that I think would be super insightful for people watching.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people ask about blood tests. And I actually had this guy right now on Instagram Live, and he was commenting saying, you don't need a specialty doctor. Just go to your regular doctor for blood tests, right? And there's a big difference between a traditional doctor's blood panel and the in-depth blood panels you do. So which blood tests should business owners regularly monitor to optimize energy, focus, and longevity?
Right. Oh, that's a good question. So just kind of the general response I have to that, because I was thinking about that idea a lot this week, actually. So there's kind of different phases of lab testing. There's the conventional insurance covered labs, like the bare minimum, the sick care model that you go to your regular doctor, like that Instagram comment was making, and what they look at. Like they are looking at labs that they can give you a pill for to cover up for sick care, right? So that's like the lowest level, just managing symptoms types of labs. Okay. So that's, step number one, the super, super old fashioned conventional way that was invented in the 1960s. And then there's step two, which some people think is what we do, but I'll explain the difference. And then there's this newer type of lab testing called like functional lab testing, right? Where they can take the labs and they'll look at them a little bit different, do a little bit deeper dive. They might do a couple little things there, and build a more customized plan, right? That's what functional medicine do. They'll do some labs and do some testing. So really, that's the old model. That's basically what was going on in the 90s, early 2000s. That's definitely where we started. That's where we were. And so, and sometimes too, like with lab work, the information, you get what you pay for. I mean, just like if in your business, if you're truly going to understand what's going on in your business, depending on how deep of a dive, you're going to get what you pay for based on how deep of a dive you do with that. And then there's kind of the labs that like we do, and then the longevity-based labs, the performance-based labs, the evolution beyond functional medicine is, where we do deep dives. And I'll tell you, like, if you are not spending over $1,000 on your labs of actual finding out what's going on inside your body, you are not doing real labs to understand your body. Anything less than that is, I had a great quote from one of our friends, Joe Polish, and he said, the worst type of advice you can get is bad advice, even if it's free. So like with your labs, the worst type of information you can get is bad information, especially if it's free. So it's, to get good information, you have to be able to invest in that. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're doing those deep dives into what your cell is doing inside your body, because you are made of trillions of cells. How you function, how you show up in the world. When you walk through the door with your trillions of cells together, and you can't leave them behind. They are how you function. They are how you show up. They are how you perform. And so you need to understand what your cells are doing. And if you think that you can find that on some conventional lab test or some free lab test that someone gives you, that is impossible. If they tell you that you can, they are lying to you. And so then with that, doing that deep dive, we can see, do your cells have everything they need? So this is the answer to what we test. So we test your hormone levels, which, those can be considered pretty basic, but then we look at your nutrition markers, your inflammation markers, and that list goes on and on and on to hundreds of different markers. We test over 215 on our basic starter panel and much more in our deeper dive panels that we do to really understand for your cells, how are your cells functioning? Because when we understand that, then we can understand, how you're really showing up today and how you're really going to be showing up in the future as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, I like what you said. You go, if you're paying less than $1,000 for your blood test, you're not actually getting the right blood work done, right? You're not going to get all the information. And I know there's a lot of people out there that throughout the course of a year, they probably spend more than $1,000 on alcohol or fast food or things that don't actually serve them. Maybe it's like subscriptions to Netflix and Hulu and all this other crap, entertainment, and they neglect their health, which is crazy. So it's the most important thing that you can invest in is learning about your health. And, you said something funny. You're like, when you walk through the door, you're walking through with trillions of cells, and it affects everything from, your energy, your mental health, and just your presence. So I thought that was really insightful, man. What would you say to people who they think that $1,000 or $2,000 blood test is expensive and it stops them from moving forward?
Well, I would say I've heard this from multiple people multiple times. they'll do the analogy of, say we can give you, $10 million today, right? We'll have $10 million cash, but then you die tonight, right? Would you take that $10 million? And the answer, everyone says no, right? Have you, been on stage and presented and asked that question? And every now and then, like a guy will be like, yeah, I'll do it so my wife can have the money. And then his wife is sitting there next to him like, no, you wouldn't, you stupid. And so anyway, so, if you're not willing to take that $10 million, that means you and your health and how you're showing up is worth at least $10 million or more, right? And we can play, say 20 million, 30, 50 million, right? With that. So if you're not willing to pay $1,000 or a little bit more than $1,000 to know what's going on inside you, that's much more valuable. That's 10 million, 50 million, $100 million plus the actual value that you have as a human. Those priorities are a little bit off. You need to be able to do that and to invest in yourself. So, yeah,
absolutely. It comes down to mindset too, and understanding what's most important and prioritizing those things.
And just like one last thought on that too is, and we've talked about this before, is because with the labs, when we do the right labs, we can know what current path you're on for your future. And so we've done labs and we've had guys that showed up and they're 2 to 3 years away from a heart attack, or 5 to 10 years away from a heart attack. And we can see that on the labs. The heart attack never happens by accident. It's always something that progresses. And so, for that person, that ends up coming through our program, who no longer, we can fix that problem and they're not going to have a heart attack within 3 years. We've saved them, $2 million cash on the expenses that are going to come from that heart attack, let alone the impact on their families and lives and their future that can come. So we can definitely, that investment can have, exponential returns for, 100 years potentially.
Yeah, it's priceless. You can't put a price on that, a comparison. Okay. A lot of people know about peptides, right? More so now because they're becoming more recognized and discussed. Specifically BPC 157 or TB500. Those are like kind of I feel like the first peptides guys start. How can peptides like BPC 157 or TB500 support recovery from stress specifically and burnout, or do they?
Yeah. Oh, good question. Yeah, because we do definitely, if you go online talking about BPC 157 and TB500, or thymosin beta 4 is the actual name for that one. They've been around a long time, and I've used them for clients for a long time. And the more that we study them, the more we realize the impact that they're having, because they are working on the cellular level, helping your cells handle inflammation and heal and process better. So instead of doing like an ibuprofen or the Tylenol or an Advil, some of these that are Band-Aids, inflammation blockers like the NSAIDs, that stop the pain and stop the inflammation without actually healing the process. They actually promote a healthy healing process. They promote your cells to heal. They promote your cells to regenerate, even down to and the more we study it, the more even we see down to, even on the DNA level of the cells. They help your cells to handle stress, handle inflammation, handle any type of those cellular things that can come up better. So the more the research comes out on it, I'm like, I just need every person probably needs to take BPC 157. And the thymosin beta 4, TB500 is something that it works along that same way, and it kind of promotes that. Definitely, some people do respond a little bit differently, but the BPC 157 is foundational. Even more recent studies have shown that it helps with brain health, brain inflammation, and improving all that. It's kind of every cell in the body can use those peptides to function better. And yeah, it's great to be used for an injury as well. Like you can inject it, over your shoulder if you have a shoulder issue, or I recently had pulled my oblique, and so I've been injecting BPC 157 right over in my abdomen over the leak to help it to heal faster, and as well as taking it regularly orally. So
does it help? Because I thought that maybe I was misinformed. I take a pill form of BPC 157, but I have some old injuries and current injuries that I'm, in the process of healing and stuff like that. I know the BPC 157 helps with overall inflammation, but let's say I had a shoulder issue going on. Would it be more impactful to inject the peptide right into the shoulder joint or that tissue around the area that's affected?
Yeah, good question. It definitely can help. We need to make sure that we get the healing processes happening in that area. So for an old injury, we might try to like do a PRP injection or a stem cell injection to stimulate healing, to kind of wake up the immune system in that area, and then use BPC along with that to get even better results. But generally, I find really good results in doing both the oral, and then if you have the injury you're trying to heal from, doing the injectable as well. So.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah. So, but because like a really old injury is just kind of sitting there dormant. There's not like active healing happening in that area, and so that's why just doing just the BPC by itself might not be as effective. But if we can do something to stimulate the healing, like the PRP injections, or even like some like shockwave therapies, and there's other things that can kind of wake that up, then doing the BPC with that can improve it. So.
Okay. So in your location out there in Arizona, are you going to be doing shockwave therapies, red light therapy, stem cells, stuff like that? Like, what are the main things that you'll offer out in your brick and mortar in Arizona?
Yeah, so we do those things. We don't have any current red light therapy options because that's something that works really good day to day. So we can help people to find a good option for that, so they can do it at home all the time. But we do have people we can do the shockwave therapy, the stem cells, the PRP, all of that. And so, yeah, that's super fun, fancy, especially when those tools are utilized correctly for the right person in the right circumstance. They can have really dramatic results. So.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I got to get out there and do some stem cell therapy soon.
Yeah,
right?
Let's get on the schedule.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I got another question. What supplements are most effective for improving cognitive function, as well as reducing stress or just helping people to focus more? You know, we talked a lot about stress earlier and just overall health, but is there any specific supplements to improve cognitive functioning so you could focus more, let's say in business or work, and not get distracted and feel like you have that enhanced productivity?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And so the answer with that, and we can fill this in for, what's the best supplement for XYZ, brain health, focus, or, muscle recovery, or, energy, or, sex drive, or performance, whatever. The answer to that question is always whatever is going to be customized to you. So that's why doing the actual lab work that's going to measure and know, so you'll know, oh, do I need more, vitamin B12? Do I need more vitamin B5? Do I need more vitamin D? Do I need more selenium, zinc? And so we can get that customized and dialed into you. And because like for brain health, there's nutrients like inositol and choline and other minerals and nutrients that you probably haven't even heard of, but we can actually test and measure because they're essential for your body's function. They're essential for your brain's function. We can measure that, and we can then know, okay, oh, your inositol is right at the very bottom of normal range. No wonder you can't focus, because that nutrient is essential for brain health. And so then we can, supplement and get you some inositol into your body that your body can use to improve that. So that's the foundational piece. To do that, you're getting the hormones dialed into. Every cell in your body, except for red blood cells, have testosterone receptors for men and women too. And so testosterone is so important for signaling, waking up the cells, metabolism, especially for in your brain. Those brain cells have testosterone receptors. They get activated by testosterone for focus, for motivation, for neurotransmitter signaling. All that improves with optimal testosterone levels. So doing those things are foundational to do that. And then there's other fancier things too. There's fancy peptides for brain health. There's other supplements that can improve for brain health. The reason why those don't always work for everyone, for instance, there's an herb called lion's mane that's good for focus and ADHD and things like that, is kind of what it's promoted as. But it only works sometimes unless you have the foundational stuff taken care of. If you do have the foundational stuff taken care of, it can work even better. Kind of on top of that. So just like if you're going to build a house, you start with the foundation. That's the nutrition down to the basic micronutrient level and the hormones. And then once that's working, then the fancy stuff works even better. Yeah,
that's really good. When you said lion's mane, I thought, man, maybe we should do an episode next time of debunking things that have been put into the mainstream media or people are trying to monetize stuff, or just like supplements that don't actually work, because there's a lot out there, right? So we'll save that for another one. I want to get as much information out of you while I got you here as I can. The next question kind of ties into what you were just sharing. Like, how do your hormone levels, so testosterone, cortisol, insulin, because when you hear hormones, most people think like testosterone and progesterone for women, right? Or estrogen, but like cortisol and insulin, right? So like, how do they affect or impact decision-making, leadership, resilience in high-performing individuals?
So that's a good question. I love that question. They are all factors. So um, we sometimes downplay how much is really going on inside our body and inside our cells. Um, so we talked about like we have probably anywhere, some studies show, between 10 and 80 trillion cells inside of our bodies, right? So it's probably somewhere around 20 to 30 trillion cells. Every single one of those cells is as complicated or even more complicated than what's going on in the whole earth. There's so much going on. In fact, people don't realize like the amount of testosterone that a man needs to function at an optimal level. You need 16 quadrillion testosterone molecules. That's 16 zeros after the 16, right? This crazy amount of things that are going on inside of our bodies. And so it's all connected and all working together, like we already talked about. We're all parts of one being, not individual cells and individual organ systems. And so it's all communicating, all working together. And so they play off each other, and there's some that control certain areas, some that control other things. And so, like for instance, insulin is a huge master controller. Insulin is the hormone that controls what source of energy your body's looking at. So it's one or the other. So either insulin controls whether you're going to use carbs and store carbs, or whether you're going to use carbs or store carbs, and burn fat. So there's only two options, and insulin controls that for your whole body, every cell in your body. But then, talking about focus, motivation, drive, that's a hormone. That's the testosterone hormone for men and for women. So men have a lot more testosterone receptors. They need a lot more testosterone to promote that drive, to promote that motivation. Women, they need that hormone as well. It's just much less in lower quantities, like 1/10 of what a man would need. But they have, their other hormone balancing with estrogen, progesterone for the cycles and all that stuff. So it's so important. And so like testosterone is essential. But then there's cortisol, which is the master stress hormone, which is designed for, if a bear jumps out in front of you as you're walking through the forest, you need to be able to run. And so cortisol can hijack everything and take control so that you can run away from the bear. The problem is when cortisol is high all the time and the bear is not out in front of you, you're at work or you're at home or you're all these things, because our lives are so high stress, so high cortisol, so overstimulated that we're always in that fight or flight mode. We're always running away from bear, even when we're trying to, sit down and eat dinner with our wife and kids at home. And so,
yeah, this is not to interrupt you, but this is really good for anybody watching this who is a business owner, or do you feel a lot of stress? People will always try to like go take vacations, or on the weekend they try, I don't know, maybe they try to kick back, or in the evening. I know a lot of guys, like I personally mentor, and in the evening when the kids go to sleep, they'll sit in the recliner, drink a couple beers, start watching their show, thinking that they're unwinding, but it's actually not resolving the issue. The issue is your hormones, your body's, right? Yeah. Your fight or flight response. So with somebody like that, the vacation's not going to work necessarily. They come right back into life and they're immediately triggered, and that same response takes place.
Just on that one, I want to talk about, because that's really important. Yeah. I've talked to entrepreneurs all day, every day, and this is the pattern. And this is a huge problem, because they get home and they think that relaxing is sitting on the couch, drinking a beer, watching TV. The problem is, so first you drink the beer, so your testosterone tanks, you're basically messing up all your hormones. You're unloading a giant wave of inflammation into your body. That's problem number one. And so you shut down your hormone production for growth hormone, for testosterone for the next 48, 72 hours. But then you're watching TV, you're watching this, the action show on TV. I don't know what people watch. My wife likes her certain shows and different things. But anyway, so whatever people watching, your brain does not know the difference between what you're seeing on TV and what's happening in real life. So you're watching this car chase scene on the cop show that you like, and your brain thinks you are in that situation, and your brain is releasing stress hormones and stress signals that whole time, because your brain does not know the difference between what is on TV and what's in real life. And so you think you're relaxing, and you might be numb from the alcohol, but you are more stressed all night long than you were even during the day. And so you never get that rest and recovery, and that compounds and compounds and compounds. And then you get burnout. And so I talk to entrepreneurs all the time. They tell me I couldn't get out of bed for the past 3 days, and all these different things. And you see them on social media, you see them, in person or whatever, and you think they're super high energy and these amazing productive guys. But I know some of the details of their lives, like they can't get out of bed. They were in bed all weekend because they were crashing. And then they show up on Monday and they do their podcast and they look great, and then you go home and crash. And that's what's happening, is they just have this constant overstimulation of the stress system, and it is basically breaking them down cell by cell, and they got to do something different. So,
wow. And honestly, so I mean, it sounds like the most important thing they could do is the blood test to figure out exactly what's going on and then get on the right supplementation based on those results to help combat those effects, right? So if there's anybody listening, that was you that Dr. J just described, you could message one of us. You could like comment, whether you're seeing this on Facebook or another platform, or go to unstoppable365.com. There's ways that you can get the blood test and start doing it. That's really insightful, man, because I think a lot of people feel like they are relaxing when they sit down and watch TV. And yeah, you're not having to do stuff, but your brain and your body is still being triggered to react based on like a stress response. That's really insightful, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's like with the lab testing that we do, there is with our base package, there is and for these special people that are listening, if you go to our website, well, I'll give you a special discount code right now because you're super awesome listening to us. So if you find our lab order sheet page, you can go on there and you do VIP 500, you get $500 off your labs. Anyway, so for all you special people that are listening, hopefully they don't edit this out.
$500, that's a chunk, yeah.
But anyway, with that lab kit, we do saliva samples of your cortisol because your cortisol level is supposed to go up in the morning to help you wake up and help you get going, and then slowly decline during the day, and then low at night to help you to sleep and rest and recover. And so if you just do just one blood draw during the day of your cortisol level, you don't know what it was before that or after that. Or if you do a cortisol urine sample and collect all of the cortisol for the day, you don't know what that curve looked like. And so that's why the saliva samples are so important, and that's included with our base package to see what that cortisol curve is doing, so we can help to target you specifically where you're at with your cortisol.
Yeah, really good. Really good. I mean, I think, and that's beneficial, not even for just business owners, but people in life, like parents, or a lot of adults are really stressed out. And when you're stressed out, everything in life just sucks, man. You're not as obviously happy. You're not enjoying your relationships. You just don't have like a lot of clarity. You're almost in damage control all the time, putting out fires. So really, really glad you share that. I got another question too. This is different. And this kind of correlates to recently I've been taking NAD. I researched it. I learned about it. I asked you. I'd like you to share about NAD, but also specifically this question. What are the best strategies to naturally enhance mitochondrial function and cellular health for energy and endurance?
So good. Yeah, that's good. And that goes kind of our theme of what we've been talking about this whole time is down to the cellular health. And the mitochondria, if you remember back to your high school biology days, your mitochondria are your energy factories for your cells. So all of your cells have mitochondria, and they produce the energy that makes that cell go. So basically, it's the power source. Like if your cell was a computer, the mitochondria are like that power that's coming in with that. So you need to make sure that they're working really well. And so that's the key, because you really, and when we dive into some of the deeper science-y part of what we do with our protocols, is there's the actual the hallmarks of aging, the reasons why you age, the reason why your cells break down and stop functioning. And a big part of that is the mitochondrial function of those cells. And so whether it's your brain cell, whether it's your muscle cell, whether it's your bone cell, your heart cell, the mitochondria make those cells go. And so it's really important to optimize that. And hopefully I wasn't too sciencey there. But with that, when they function best, that's how they do work, and how your cells overall work better, which is why something like NAD can be really beneficial, because NAD is a key component of that energy production pathway that's happening in the mitochondria. And so it can be really beneficial. And some people I've noticed they've taken NAD, they might not notice a big boost. It could be that you need to wake up your cells, wake up your mitochondria, and it's not really functioning like it needs to. So that's one. NAD can be very helpful. But even like a base foundational piece of that, and getting a little bit more into the science of it, a lot of those reactions happen in the membrane of the mitochondria. And so you need your mitochondrial membranes to be healthy. And that, to be able to do that, that's where you need something like omega-3s, which is like the fish oil supplements. So DHA, EPA, they help promote healthy mitochondria and healthy mitochondrial membranes and healthy cell membranes as well. And so that is so essential. And this is a big problem I see supplement-wise, that people think that they're taking fish oil. They think that they're getting enough fish oil. So ideally, you get somewhere between 2,500 to 3,000 milligrams of EPA plus DHA. And most fish oil supplements only have 200, maybe 300 milligrams per capsule. So to actually get a true accurate dose of fish oil, you need to take 10 capsules of that one that you're taking. Like if you go to Costco, if you go to Sprouts or Whole Foods, whatever, maybe if you get a really good one, you're maybe getting 500 milligrams per capsule. And it's not total fish oil, it's EPA and DHA are the ones that matter. And so you might need to take 6 of those capsules to be able to get the proper dose. Anyway, there's a lot of other fish oil problems that we can talk about, but that's the first one, is not getting enough of, and then not realizing you're eating enough, thinking that you're covered. So that's something that we do, like with all of our supplements. We make sure that we get a good effective dose and to make sure your body has what it needs. So that's really key. Base number one, healthy fats, the omega-3s, the EPA and the DHA will improve your cell membranes and mitochondrial function. And then
that was really insightful, because, people always say, oh yeah, I take fish oil or I take my multivitamins. And it sounds like a lot of the stuff that you would just get at the grocery store, a Sprouts or a Whole Foods, whatever, a vitamin shop, it's not high quality, and it's not enough of the actual ingredient you need to get the benefit.
Yeah. Oh, huge problem. Fish oils are one of like the biggest scams that are out there, even though it is like one of the most important nutrients you can get, like we just discussed. All the ones that are popular that you see recommended and prescribed and advertised, they are pretty much garbage. And so, you need to look at your label, look at per capsule, how much EPA you're getting, how much DHA are you getting, and that total needs to add up to 2,500, 3,000 plus milligrams per day. For someone who has like a heart disease in their family, or currently on high blood pressure, or been diagnosed with high cholesterol, even though that's not the problem, you probably want to take 5,000 milligrams, even a higher dose. So.
Wow. Incredible. I mean, that's another benefit of like working with someone like you, is you actually get high quality supplements at the right doses. Cause we don't know. I didn't know that. I trust you. So I did the blood work, and then you tell me what I need and I take it. Right.
Yeah. You don't need to go to medical school.
I mean, not to be completely naive, you have to trust the person you're working with. And then when you notice the benefit, like I have way more energy. I told you, stress is just at an all-time low, despite more demands upon me. Just a lot of benefits, man. One of the things that I really love that I noticed the most is sustained energy throughout the day, and like a lot of mental acuity. Like I could just get laser focused on stuff and stay dialed in all day long. And so
because you've been on these good supplements for almost a year now, and even though you didn't realize all the details of what was happening with those inside your body, they're doing what they're supposed to do. So
I feel like about 3 months ago, everything that I was starting to take and change in my just lifestyle converged. Like you notice initial benefits and changes, but I feel like everything's just really converged to the point where it's just I'm optimized now. And so that's why everyone's going to be on a slightly different protocol, though. Everyone's going to be on a slightly different process.
Yeah, and that's really how it is. And I was thinking just this morning, this idea came to my mind. You can give someone a big block of marble and give them a chisel and give them a little hammer. And really anyone can do that. Just like any doctor can, prescribe a peptide or a supplement or run labs. But if you give a slab of marble and a chisel and a hammer to Michelangelo, he's going to create something very different than me or you getting out there with a chisel for the first time and trying to sculpt a sculpture. One will create the David statue, and we might be able to get a smiley face if we're lucky, right? And anyway, so there's a lot of value in having someone the right tools in the hand of a master is better than the right tools in the hands of someone that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some other stuff would be cool to cover on a future podcast episode or conversation like this would be number one is debunking a lot of stuff that people think might be good for them or true. And then the other one is how this is all really relevant and important for women too. The reason I share that is because you've already helped my wife, Jessica, a lot, and she's about to have our 4th child in a couple weeks. And I messaged you the other day and I said, what can we do to help her bounce back from the baby blues or postpartum as quickly as possible? Because I know in past times when we had babies and children, it affects women big time. Their hormones are all over the place. So I think doing an episode on that and really, really showcasing what you can do or what the blood work and the right supplementation can do to help women. I think that'd be really cool. And then, but before we wrap this one up today, if anyone's still listening or has watched all the way through, we want to reward them. We want to give them a chance to get their health optimized and reduce some of the costs. So what was that discount code for the blood test again?
Yep. So VIP 500. So if you go to unstoppable365.com, on the top there, click on Precision Medical Performance. That gets to kind of our medical side of Unstoppable 365. Go down and find the button where it says click start now. So click start now, it'll pop up and have the form. It'll show you with the lab package, you put your information in there so we can send you the lab kit. And then at the bottom, when you put in your payment information, you put that code in and be able to get that discount.
Yeah. So perfect. So if you want to get your blood tested, you've been thinking about doing it, and this episode really inspired you, go on the website right now, like Dr. J said, unstoppable365.com. Navigate the site to get to the Precision Medical Performance area and enter that promo code in there. And then from there, you get to do a consultation with Dr. J, and he gets to break everything down with you, like where your health's at, what you need to do to optimize your health going forward. Super insightful today, man. You know, I love these conversations because you're a wealth of knowledge and it's very insightful and valuable for myself and then anybody tuning in. So before we wrap this up, Dr. J, anything else you want to share with anybody who's watching?
So, yeah, I mean, the worst thing that you can do is to not take action. So, I mean, we talked about so many different things in this little podcast, you know, this 35, 40 minutes, you know, even if it's just, you need to sleep better, you need to change your routine before bed so that you can handle stress better. You can just cut out alcohol. You need to find a good fish oil or get an accurate dose. You know, we talked about lots of different things. So the worst thing you can do is not do any of them and stay where you are. So do something, pick something. If it's doing the labs and starting, you know, we're here to help. We want to change the world, and it starts with working with people like you. And so whatever step you need to take that step. Don't stay where you are, because that's, you know, you'll just keep going downhill from there. So take action.
Let's go. That's the message that I echo every day, right? It's like, you get one life, let's go all in and move forward each and every day. And procrastination, that's what kills potential, you know? So thank you, Dr. J, for being here, man. I appreciate you. So much respect and gratitude for you being here, and we'll chat again soon.
Cool. Thanks, John.